Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So I'm back with a full Professor X guide because I'm making this video because I still feel Professor X is very underrated and he can be used in all types of game modes against a variety of different gems. And his playstyle is not very complex, so I'm going to break down everything in this video. Without wasting any more time, let's get started. So at first, let's take a look at his sig ability. While below 75 channeling charges, he gains 1 channeling charge per second. So this is quite important and I'm going to explain the reason later. Secondly, he gains some additional prowess potency, scaling with opponent's power meter, and this potency depends on your sig level. So from this you can understand that the damage of a max sig Professor X will be more by a significant amount than a undoped Professor X. But this signature ability is not at all compulsory for playing Professor X. You can easily play him without duping him. So let's check out his basic playstyle. So from the beginning of the fight, you should start building your channeling charges. Each time you will charge your heavy attack, you will get channeling charge. 1 second of charging heavy gives 10 channeling charges. So technically you can gain 100 channeling charges if you charge a heavy attack for 10 seconds. But practically it's almost impossible. However, if sometimes the defender is very defensive, in that case you may be able to achieve that, but that's not practical. So after reaching 100 channeling charges, you should start throwing your special. So whenever Professor X throws his special attack at 100 channeling charges, he enters mind control, and during this mind control phase the opponent gets power locked. They can't throw their special, and Professor X's own special cost 70% less power and they are unblockable. So all of this combined helps him to build his prowess quickly and effectively. And this mind phase and this mind control phase is having a certain duration, but its duration gets paused during the special attack animation. So let's see how you can build your prowess effectively. So whenever Professor X cancels his channeling, he gains a prowess buff that increases his special attack damage by 40%. And Professor X performs channeling in 2 different ways. Number 1, when charging heavy attack. Number 2, after the special attack animation ends. So the only way to cancel the heavy attack channeling is by throwing a special attack. But the channeling after special attack animation can be cancelled in many ways. It can be either done by a medium attack, light attack, with another special attack, or by charging heavy, or by tapping block. But if you want to gain 2 prowess at a time, then there are only 3 ways. Either you have to cancel that channeling by using a light, or by tapping block, or by charging another heavy. So when you are cancelling the channeling after special attack animation with a light attack, you are gaining 1 prowess from that, and immediately you should again start charging heavy. So when you are again charging heavy, you will start channeling again, and you can cancel that channeling with your special attack. So from there you are getting another prowess, and you can throw back-to-back specials in this mind control phase, as his special attacks cost 70% less power. Suppose if you throw your first special when you are having slightly more than 2.5 bars of power, so even after throwing a special 2, you will still have 2 bars of power, and you will be able to throw at least 4 to 5 specials during one mind control phase. And when the mind control phase is about to end and you throw your last special, after that you should let Professor X channel for 1 second, and then you should dash back and refresh all the duration of the prowess, so that you get enough time to build 100 channeling charges again and repeat the cycle. In this video I displayed 3 different ways to double up the prowess or gain 2 prowess at a time. You can use either one of them. And sometimes it may happen that you are wasting a lot of time in baiting the special and you are having very less channeling charges. So you can use your own Fulton mechanic to gain at least 30 to 40 channeling charges in one heavy attack. So Professor X is having a unique ability where when he is about to get hit by a basic attack, he inflicts a passive falter on his opponent for 2 seconds. But he can't miss the special attacks with that falter mechanic, only basic attacks. So you can make some distance and then start charging heavy, utilize the full falter passive duration to charge the heavy for at least 3 to 4 seconds, and you will gain 40 channeling charges. And sometimes it may happen that you forget to dash back after throwing your last special during the mind control phase, or you tap the block by mistake, or there was a miss input. So in that case, you are having a very less duration left on your prowess, but you don't have to worry about that. Just build to another bar of power, throw that special, he will start channeling again, doesn't matter how many channeling charges he is having, then dash back, and all the prowess duration will be refreshed. And let me remind you about the Sig ability. So I read earlier that while below 75 channeling charges, he builds his channeling charges automatically. So that will be helpful in regaining 100 channeling charges quickly, because because if the AI is very defensive and he is not throwing a special, uh, then also you are gaining channeling charges constantly, which is very helpful in keeping up the prowess, especially in long fights like Abyss or Labyrinth. So let's check out his special attacks. So the special one gives him 25 channeling charges if you throw it outside of the mind control phase, because during the mind control phase you won't be gaining any more channeling charges, so it will only deal some raw damage, nothing else. And the special 2 is the main powerhouse of Professor X. It deals 2200 something damage, and the damage scales up with the amount of prowess he is having. So if you are throwing it at 60 or above 60 prowess, then only the burst damage will be doing for nearly 350k or 400k. So that's a huge thing. And the special 3 is also not very important, but it just adds up to his damage. So you will be gaining some prowess based on how many persistent charges you have. You can gain maximum of 4 persistent charges, so you can gain maximum of 4 prowess from the special 3. Now the special 3 prowess are more potent than the regular prowess. It increases the special attack damage by 60%. I generally go for the special 3 if I have 3 or 4 persistent charges. So you start each quest with 1 persistent charge, and then after winning each fight you will be gaining 1 more persistent charge. The main benefit of building his charges is it increases the special attack damage of the other mutants in the team. Professor X is a very strong evade counter champ. When he is above 25 channeling charges, he cannot be evaded. And we all know Spider-Gwen is a very strong evade champ. She evades a lot, and I especially chose this fight because it is having bullet time, so I can't parry stun her. So I'm just trying to show that Professor X can counter evade champs even on stun immune nodes. So I'm going to utilize his falter mechanic in this matchup. So in the beginning you can see that I'm just waiting for my falter cooldown to end. As soon as it ends, I'm creating some distance, and then I'm charging my heavy attack. I will try to utilize the full duration of the falter passive to build as many challenging charges as possible, because I will have very little openings throughout the fight to build my challenging charges. I can probably charge my heavy to counter her heavy attack, and after she throws a special 1 and special 2. And make sure after you complete your mind control phase, you will be again down to 6 or 7 challenging charges. So make sure to hit a evade champ after you have built more than 25 challenging charges, else you can get punished. So I will make sure I'm having my falter activated again, and then I will again charge heavy by creating some distance after building 25 channeling charges. Then I will again start doing my basic combos. So you can use this playstyle if you're fighting a evade champ on a stun immune node, else you can just perform parry heavy. That's the most effective playstyle. When Professor X is above 25 channeling charges, he can counter miss, but he can't counter miss against take champs or psychic shielding champs. And this fight is having tunnel vision, which is a very annoying node. If you perform same basic movement twice, then you will be inflicted with a falter debuff. And Professor X completely counters this node. And this fight is also having the crit me with your best shot. And Professor X is not having the highest crit rate in the game. His crit rate is fairly low compared to other champs. But if you build a lot of prowess, and if you get crit on 1 or 2 hits in the special 2, then also it will do a lot of damage. And I think I was able to finish this fight in 3 or 4 mind control cycles. So this fight went quite well, and I was happy with his performance. So Professor X is also immune to thorns or damage reflection, which is a very cool ability. So he is having some non-contact hits, and the non-contact hits doesn't take back any reflected damage. All of his light attacks, all of the hits of his special 1 and the second part of his special 2, excluding the first hit, these all are non-contact hits. So if you use these hits against a Thorns node or against Electro or against Killmonger's Reverberation, then you will not be taking any kind of damage back. But if you use your medium attack, or you by mistake make contact with the first hit of your special 2, then you will be taking a reflected damage back. I was also able to take down Abyss Killmonger by using this ability. I will link that in the description, so make sure to check that out because that was a really nice solo. So Professor X is having a really easy way to intercept his opponents. So if you can remember, as I told previously, he is having an inbuilt falter mechanic. So whenever he is about to get hit by a basic attack, he inflicts a passive falter on the opponent. so we can use that trick to intercept. So if you play Ghost, you should know about the phase intercept, where you take one hit in the phase and immediately counter it with a light or medium. So you can do that with Professor X also. You can just leave your block open, let them hit you, and immediately counter them with your medium. Make sure that your falter is not on cooldown. Or you can do another thing, you can just make some distance and then start charging heavy. As soon as the opponent hits you, release the heavy immediately, and that will count as intercept. So this node was having event flow intercept. So if I don't intercept the enemy, then I will be doing 60% less damage. And the funny thing in this fight was, even when I was throwing my specials, they were intercepting him, so I was continuously getting the Foresight Fury also. And if you have done Abyss of Legends, then you might be familiar with Abyss Luke Cage, which is one of the most hardest fight in the game. So Luke Cage goes unstoppable and unblockable after 10 seconds, and the only way to remove them is by intercepting them. So I did that fight with Professor X, and I was very close to soloing that fight. I was one special to away. So you can also check that fight. I will link that in the description. Professor X is a very strong auto-block counter, and I'm also saying the reason why I wrote partially against turn immune nodes or champs. So we all know that Professor X's main playstyle is based around heavy attacks and special attacks. So heavy attacks cannot be auto-blocked, and during his mind control phase, his special attacks are completely unblockable. So there is no option for our opponent to auto-block us. And now I'm saying the reason why I wrote partially against turn immune node or champs. So if you notice Modok's heavy attack, then it is having a very good reach, and it's very difficult to counter his heavy with Professor X heavy. It's not impossible. If you manage to perform a light attack with a very good timing, you can counter Modok's heavy with his heavy, but that's very difficult. But against champs like Medusa or Overseer, you can easily counter their heavy with your heavy attack. So if they are on stun immune nodes, still you can easily defeat them with Professor X. And there are some annoying tech champs who is having the auto-block mechanics, such as Penny Park or Darkhawk. So I will not advise to use Professor X against them, because whenever Darkhawk is knocked down, he activates the shield mode, which decreases your attack by a good amount, and Penny Parker will be unable to auto-block you, but she will continuously power burn you, and whenever Professor X is power burned, he loses 50 channeling charges. So try to avoid Professor X against tech champs who can auto-block, and if they can be stunned, you can fight almost any auto-block champs. So you can see that I'm fighting Abyss Modok, and this fight is going flawlessly. I'm easily dexing his specials. Previously I used to suck at dexing his special, but now I'm quite comfortable, and he's just getting destroyed. So enjoy the fight, and I will see you guys after a few minutes.
My heart rages around like an ocean in my head, because there are so many things that I left unsaid. My heart rages around like an ocean in my head. I can almost feel you walking in the distance, but I know that it's not reality. If you are echoing around inside these parallel dimensions all alone, know I'll find you in my dreams. I'll find you in
So Professor X is having an inbuilt dexterity. If you remove your dexterity and fight against any champ, and you try to dex their attacks, by dex I mean DP ward. If you remove the dexterity mastery and try to DP ward with any champ in the game, you will get hit. But with Professor X, you will notice that he will be dexing those attacks and a dodge word will appear in blue color. And when the falter is not on cooldown, he will inflict the passive falter on the opponent first as he was supposed to get hit, and then he will continue dodging the attacks. So I noticed it first when I was fighting Abyss Dormammu, and it may counter Mystic Dispersion if you are using him in Alliance War. I don't think it will be very helpful, but in some cases it may be useful, so I just wanted to share it with you guys. One of the most unique and powerful ability in this game is immunity to invert controls, and I think only Mr. Sinister and Professor X is having this ability. So I think the third phase of the Grandmaster is one of the most difficult phase in the entire game, because your controls can go inverted when you're trying to beta special, and it may again go on cooldown when you are not prepared, so you can die at any moment. But Professor X completely bypasses this phase. And against Grandmaster also, I think the first phase is the most difficult phase compared to the others. The Grandmaster is comparatively a easier fight than Grandmaster, but still the first phase can be tricky if you're not good at inverted controls. But Professor X completely bypasses that. I performed a Grandmaster solo with Professor X on the juiced path. I will link that in the description. You guys can check it out how easy it is to fight Grandmaster with Professor X. And against Grandmaster also, you will see that the invert control never comes, so he completely bypasses this phase. So it's really crazy, and this is another reason why I love Professor X so much. When a new champ comes out, the first thing we test is his damage potential. And Professor X is one of the most highest damage dealing champs in the entire game. He's in the top 5, I believe, because his prowess can go beyond 100, and if you get lucky with the crits, you can hit a special to close to 1 million damage. So that's really crazy. You can try it yourself against X 7.1 Gwen boss. And in longer contents like Abyss or Labyrinth, Professor X is one of the best gems for those type of content. And I believe in the future we will get similar contents like Abyss. So Professor X is going to be one of the best counters for that type of content. Even in the Grandmaster's Gauntlet, he was one of the best gems. And I personally enjoy ramping up his damage. It's similar to ramping up She-Hulk's Fury or Crossbone's Fury. And when the specials starts hitting the damage cap in the Abyss, it feels very satisfying. I will be concluding this video by discussing about his weakness. So Professor X doesn't work well on the nodes which are related to buff, such as buffet or spite or EMP modification, and he also doesn't work well on those nodes which are related to power manipulations such as power struggle or matador, because without continuous cycling of specials you can't build your prowess effectively. You can use him, but it will be very difficult, and it's not ideal. So try not to use him on those nodes, and try to avoid fighting take champs or the champs with psychic shielding with Professor X, because against those champs you will only get 40% power back during your mind control phase. You will be unable to prevent their evade and miss. And also there are some champs like Modok and Mr. Sinister who can block unblockable attacks. So if you're using Professor X against them, just keep that in mind. I know that some players have soloed Abyss mode with Professor X, so I will not say it's impossible, but just keep that in mind that your special attacks will not be unblockable. So I tried to cover everything in this video about Professor X. If I missed anything, make sure to mention that in the comments. I will pin that comment so that other players also notice that. And if you guys got any help from this video, make sure to drop a like. And if you are visiting my channel for the first time, make sure to hit the subscribe button. And you can also share it with your friends. See you guys in the next video.